The Trump administration has scrapped special immigration rules for hundreds of thousands of people, telling them they have to leave the US by April 24th. The new order affects over 500,000 Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans and Venezuelans who have a temporary legal status. It was granted under a scheme by Donald Trump's predecessor, Joe Biden, and allowed migrants from certain countries to stay in the US for up to 2 years. Trump suspended the program when he took office. Andrew Selee is the president of the Migration Policy Institute in Washington. I asked him to explain why the Trump administration is ending the temporary legal status for these migrants.
So this was a program that, President Biden instituted as a way of giving legal channels for people from those 4 countries to come. They were 4 countries that were in crisis, and also the U.S. government had a lot of difficulty returning people, deporting people to those countries if they got to the U.S. border. About 500,000 people came, they thought, legally for a 2-year period. But this was always seen by Republicans, as by people who are now in the Trump administration, as being an end around on U.S. law, that they had used something called humanitarian parole, which is basically a humanitarian visa, to let these folks in. There's 500,000 people, that should really be the prerogative of Congress to decide that. And so they're ending it, saying that it was always illegal to have done this. President Biden shouldn't have done it, and these people should be sent back.
Can you tell us more about the legalities? I mean, we're not talking about criminals here. We're talking about people who are legally there, who got there legally, yeah?
Yeah, this is the crux here. I mean, this is a group of people, it's 500,000 people that came in thinking they were coming in the right way. They had to have a sponsor in the United States. Most of them had a relative, or some of them were, church groups and others, veterans groups, others that banded together to sponsor someone. And so they're coming in with someone sponsoring them. They had 2 years to work in the United States legally and to remain in the country. And now policy changes, right? And now they're in the country illegally as of Tuesday. Although there is a court case that will be heard on Monday, this could delay the decision. But I do think it is likely to wind down sooner or later. But yes, these are folks that thought they were coming legally. Now, some of them have applied for asylum. Cubans in particular, who are a little over 100,000 of those that came, after a year, have another way of legalizing their status, and most have probably done that. Many of the others have probably sought asylum, but a lot of people will probably be vulnerable to deportation.
How will the Trump administration actually enforce the order?
So, there's 2 questions there. I mean, one is it's very hard people have a work permit for 2 years, which means their employers will likely continue to think that they're here legally. So many of them may continue to work legally, even though the government says it's canceled their work permits. But I think there's going to be, they have the latest address for people, and they're going to try and round them up and find them. And it's going to be incumbent on those that have applied for asylum or adjusted status if they're Cubans to a green card to be able to show if they're detained that in fact they have a legal reason for remaining in the country. Now, many people will of course try and move, knowing that this is if they haven't already, will try and move. We may find out that the Trump administration struggles to find these people, but they think it's a group that they can find easily because since they filed legal paperwork, they told people where they were going, that they do have an address on file with the U.S. government.
And what about their chances of getting asylum? You mentioned the attempts there. What happens if they are sent back to their countries? Because some of these people, I guess, would face certain dangers.
Significant dangers. Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela. I mean, 3 of them are governed by autocrats that have been cracking down on political dissent. And then Haiti has become chaotic and generally violent without much of a state presence. So many of these people have likely applied for asylum. They will, in current circumstances, probably wait for 4, 5, 6 more years before they even get a hearing. And many of them will have likely successful asylum cases, at least under current rules of asylum. The Trump administration may try and speed up asylum hearings. They may try and narrow the grounds for asylum. So we don't know what it'll look like when their hearing comes up. But many of these people probably do have a chance of getting asylum. And look, we don't know if the Trump administration will even be able to send people back to these countries. The Venezuelan government has taken some people back, but it hasn't been very consistent. And so far, we have not seen flights to Cuba or Nicaragua. The Haitian government will probably take people back as well. But Cuba and Nicaragua have resisted, and Venezuela has been very inconsistent. So they may be able to detain people and not be able to deport them.
Andrew Selee, there, president of the Migration Policy Institute. Thanks for your insights.